It's the land of volcanoes, surfers, killer sunsets, and for 8 days in 2017, a traveling piper. This is El Salvador. El Salvador might be the smallest nation in Central America, but it more than makes up for its size with its intensely warm hospitality. And its pupusas, the national dish. The country sits on the Pacific Ocean, with Guatemala to its west and Honduras to its north and east. Whether you're driving around or hopping on local transport, it's a pretty easy country to get around. And best of all, the journeys are never that long considering the country's size. Apparently you've got two main means of transport. One of them, a colectivo, aka chicken bus, and they cost about 25 cents to get anywhere. Or you've got these buses. Exclusivos, because they're exclusive. They're safer, apparently. They've got aircon, and also they're way quicker. I'm not sure if hitchhiking is a big thing, but El Salvador is the only country in Central America where I've been offered plenty of rides. The most memorable being with a family that picked me up on the side of the road, and we ended up hanging out for the rest of the day on the edge of this massive crater lake called LAGO de COATEPEQUE.
Let me introduce you all to the monjes. Hola. We've got Mama Monje over there, Hermano Monje aquí. These two, Javier and Jay, who I met earlier. And they brought us to the Mirador. Look at that.
El Salvador's countryside is beautiful. It's filled with coffee plantations, waterfalls, Mayan ruins, hot springs, flower-filled towns, and a long list of mountains and volcanoes. I hiked up Santa Ana volcano in the west, and it's got this wonderful luminous green pool of bubbling water at the top, and it also has the most fantastic view, which makes for the perfect piping location. One of the top reasons for visiting El Salvador is for its surfing. A few of its beaches are ranked as some of the best surfing spots in the world. But if you're hopeless on a board like me, you can still just play in the sand, stuff your face with icy treats, and serenade the surfers as the sun sets. Out of the handful of places I've been to in El Salvador, one of my favourite spots is a small town called Izalco, which sits in the west. Now, I had no intention of going there until I met a lady on a bus who described it as El Pueblo de Brujas, the town of witches. And she followed it up with a absolutely do not speak about witches if you go. Weird. Now, obviously that made it seem all the more appealing, so I changed my plans and decided to go. I spent a couple of days in Izalco exploring its beautiful and eerily quiet streets, but unfortunately there were no witchy encounters. I did, however, find a really lovely old guest house to stay in run by a lady called Roxana.
I hear footsteps. Hola, hello. Mucho gusto.
Mucho gusto.
The lady of the house, gracias. Roxana, thank you very much.
That is the wife if you like use.
This is beautiful.
Eventually I plucked up the courage to ask her about the witchcraft thing, but she didn't have that much to say until my last day, when she asked me to play the bagpipes through the streets of Izalco. As we were wandering to the first corner where I was going to play, she turns to me and with a wink of her eyes she says, "Tal vez veremos una bruja." Perhaps we'll see a witch. One place I didn't mention is San Salvador, the capital city, and that's mainly because I didn't spend that much time there. It gets a pretty bad rep from a safety perspective, but if you're a tourist, it has some cool spots, including El Rosario Church. In 2001, El Salvador adopted the US dollar as its official currency, and it's super common to see $1 coins, which I didn't even know existed. And lastly, just like every Spanish-speaking country, or every country for that matter, there's plenty of slang in El Salvador. And my favorite word, which I learned, was chivo, or chiva, which is kind of like saying cool, wicked, or like brilliant.